My name is Jasmine Georges. I'm Rowan's wife. I'm Ethan's mother. I'm a pastor. I'm a prophetess. And I'm a psychologist. I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. And I'm Puerto Rican and very proud of that. And I'm the daughter of a mother and father that aspired to rear me in the admonition of the Lord. I backslid when I was about 17 years old, right before I went away to college. So you can imagine the fear that put in the hearts of my parents. I remember they really didn't want me to go away to school, but I was rebellious and said that I was going to go away because I had decided that I was going to now live life, my way, on my terms. But despite the good grades, despite, the boyfriend and the alpha boyfriend, the fraternity and all that stuff, I was lonely and I was empty and I was depressed, and I would go to parties and I would, be at things like that and would still be just so empty and just ache. And you try to fill that loneliness with clubbing, and you try to fill it with shopping, and you try to just fill it with just noise. And it just resulted in just such an ache. And I really do thank God for the mercy of God in my life, because the thing is that now I'm raised in this godly home, and now I'm immersing myself in the world, like full on in the world. And I knew better, but wasn't really prepared for that type of environment. I went to a Biggie Smalls rap concert, and I was with my friend LaToya, and I turned around and I said, who's that fine moreno in the corner? Which means, who's the fine brother in the corner? And I met, and it was Rowan who I saw. And he wasn't saved either, but I cringed to think what my life would have been if my eyes met somebody else's but Rowan. Well, I remember one day getting up and saying, I don't want to live anymore. And I remember that I'd said, when I leave, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna take my own life. I had my plan, and I left the house and to go buy something else that I needed so that I could take my life. And I remember that my mother had mentioned to me, a couple months earlier, she had said, that bus right there behind your house goes to this particular church. And I get on the bus, get off at that church, and I'm sitting in the back. Now, if you go by the typical way that a person is supposed to have that experience with the Lord, there's supposed to be this amazing preacher, and then somebody prophesies over you, or there's like some big altar call or whatever, and then you come. But that didn't happen. The preaching was not this tremendous, life-changing preaching in that moment for me. And I said, well, I guess I'm gonna go home and finish killing myself because nothing has happened. So I left, and then I went to the bus stop, and I stood at the bus stop, and then the pastor of that church, now it was snowing, this is December, and the snow was high, and the pastor ran outside of that church with no coat and no hat and no scarf and no gloves. He ran down that street with a short sleeve top. He said, Jasmine, I want you to come inside. And I remember that the first thing I said to him, I said, sorry, I'm getting so emotional, it's been so many years, and I said, where's your coat? How could you come outside without a coat? And he said, I was afraid that if I stopped and got my coat, that I wouldn't get to you in time. When I remember that he brought me inside and he began to speak to me and he began to talk to me. He said, and I don't know what you're going through right now, but I know that God has a plan for your life. I know that God's hand is upon you, and I know that if you allow him to bring you through this process of brokenness, one day, he's going to use everything that you've gone through. He's going to use even your desire to want to take your life for his glory, to touch the lives of others. So that was the worst day of my life, and that's how God visited me. My mother calls me. It's Easter Sunday. Now, my mother's a pastor, my mother's a preacher, my mother has a Spanish radio program called, in English, it's Woman to Woman. And she calls me Easter Sunday and she says, are you gonna come to church? And mom said, and this is deep, mom says, even the heathen go to church on Easter. And I said, I'm not going, because at that point, listen, I'm in my early 20s now. I live on my own. I can come and go as I please. And I said, no, I'm not going. there was a house party because I had plans, and Rowan and we got there, and people were smoking weed and drinking, and it was a black Muslim's house. And we were there, and then they had sent this girl to go get, I think it was Men in Black, if I'm not mistaken, or some movie they really wanted to see. So everybody's there, and then I tell her, well, let's just play Monopoly. So we're playing Monopoly amidst the weed and the drinking and the shots and all of that. And the girl comes back, and I guess she didn't get the movie they wanted. So everybody's like, you know, we saw that, we don't want to see that, but everybody's complaining or whatever. So she says, well, I have this other DVD that they threw in for free with the Men in Black bootleg or whatever it was. I don't know what it is. Well, everybody was like, well, play that because we don't want to see the other movie. So again, we're playing Monopoly, and then they're playing like Jay-Z, The Blueprints playing in the background. And then all of a sudden, while I'm playing Monopoly, I hear the voice of Prophetess Juanita Bynum, "No more sheets." While people are smoking weed and playing car and all of this, and I'm trying to ignore what I'm hearing. And I'm trying to buy Park Place, and I'm trying to act like I don't hear it. But the way this woman was speaking, so when you talk about that spoke to the loneliness, that spoke to the emptiness, that spoke to the vapid existence, that lack of fulfillment. And as she began to speak, I tried to ignore what I was hearing. You have no idea. And then all of a sudden the tears begin to fall. And I'm still trying to act like I don't hear what's going on. And so now I'm crying, and Rowan's noticing, that I'm crying. People, I guess, are like, well, this can't be that bad that you got a go to jail card. Like, it can't be that bad. Like, what are you crying about? And so I'm trying to ignore, act like the tears aren't happening. So then I get up to try to go, to the bathroom, and all of a sudden the power of God hit me right there. And I began to speak in tongues. And I got up and I went under the power of God right in the middle of all of that mayhem. And I remember Rowan, and now we pastor a church together, so that just shows how amazing God is. Rowan's eye, it was just, everybody was looking like, what just happened here? And I remember Rowan, when we were walking back to the train, Rowan said, I don't know, because again, my husband was raised Catholic, barely even went to church, he didn't know about tongues and all of that. And Rowan said, I don't understand everything that happened today, but I'm open. I think that the end of a matter is greater than its beginning. I think that he's a merciful God who does not treat us in accordance with what my sin warranted. I think that he's the friend that sticks closer than a brother. I think that he divinely orchestrates every moment of our lives, even when we don't even see it. I think that he's the God of the second chance. I think that if it had not been for the Lord that was on my side, I don't know where I would be literally because of the environment and situations in which I placed myself. I think that no man stops the hand of God, even our hand. I think that because of who he's been in my life, I'm just going to spend every last breath that I have just declaring that he is God and that he is good. My name is JAZMIN, and I am a woman of Adonai.